I believe that everyone is already here. And let us please give a warm welcome to Tagir. Okay, so I'm giving you the stage, so please go ahead, and I'm sure it's going to be really insightful and exciting for sure. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I hope you hear me well. It's going to be kind of technical topic, so be prepared. My name is Tagir Satlykov. I think many of you knows me, but anyway, I should introduce myself. I think half of my life I'm creating websites. Last more than 7 years, I have been working in first-line software. So I saw some weird things in my life, and today I wanna share with you my experience in Google Chrome, how the render works inside. Because for the most of us, it's just like magic. We just give some code to Google Chrome and we don't know what exactly going inside that. So we have many things for discussing, so I think we should go ahead. So we will speak about how render works itself, about some browser tools which allow people look the render inside. And we will see some side examples with good and bad things. Okay, so when you go into any website in internet, what exactly happen? Firstly, browser will receive all files like HTML page, code, CSS styles, fonts, or some images, and there is the first step which calls parsing. I don't want to focus on that step too much because I think everyone understands, okay, browser should get some code for the work. The next step is style. On this step, browser collecting all styles for each element on the page. So you can imagine that as a result of this step will be the big CSS3 file with all styles, with all elements on the page. And this style tree will be passed to the next step with name layout. On the layout step, browser understand how elements should be oriented on the page. So browser going through all elements and look at their dimensions, look at the positions, and on the layout step, browser making the render tree. We should understand that there is not an image, there is not a pixels, it's just a math model with all elements oriented somewhere on the page. So, and this result going to the next step with name paint. The last two sections, it's really interesting because before it's just some code, and here we will touch a little bit the real pixels on the screen. So what going on the paint step? Paint have the other name rasterizing. So paint tree, which we received before, will be rasterized onto real pixels, onto the bitmap. And here we should mention that paint works, paint creating different layers. So in ideal situation, we have different layers for each element on the page. It could be just imagine that you have some button. It's going to be the separate layer, and some card is gonna be another layer. As the result of the paint section gonna be the bitmap layers. It's the almost real pixels, but they still lying somewhere in memory of your GPU. Okay, so after that, we have the layers bitmap, and they going to the last step, to the compose or composer. Okay, in compose section, browser will work with layers. Compose you can imagine the cartoon movie, for example. You see some character and you see some background beside character. If you need to show some movement on the screen, it's easier to move background than render, many frames for each step of movement. So compose easily works with different layers on the page, and it works in your graphic card. It's cheaper for use, and it's your friend. So when browser passes all these steps, we will see the picture, the frame of your website, and everything gonna be nice till you will interact with your website. If you will do any changes, or you will run some animations, or some sizes or colors will change it on the screen, browser had to do new frames. And there is a crucial thing. You should understand that then deeper process browser will implement, then harder it's going to be for your browser. So if you're doing something if browser can do only compose for the new frame, it's going to be cheap and easy for your computer. If you need do some new rasterizing, okay, it's affordable, it's normal. But if you do some changes, for example, in your DOM tree, all your page will be re-rendered, and it's not cheap operation. So there is some examples of CSS properties which is your friends. So if you do any transform with your elements on the page, like translate, rotate, scaling, they will computed only by Composer in Google Chrome. Or if you change the opacity of elements, it's easy for Composer. Just opacity of layer will be changed. It's nice. Some other examples, like if you change a background image, or if you change box shadow, it will call re-render till the paint step. So it's not cheap like Compose, but it's still okay. And worse variant when you changing size of your elements, if you moving it somewhere by using margin or padding, or if you changing some font size, it's gonna be called re-render entire page. Okay, so and now we will see some examples in a browser. And now we will meet with some instruments in Google Chrome. I hope you see something. So there is a performance tab. If anyone clicked here before, it's nice. Okay, so there is a simple example where we see the simple animation here. If you wanna take a look how the browser render new frames, we just should record. Okay, 3 seconds, it's enough. Here we should focus on the frame line. Each green point is new frame, which we can see lower. So as you can see, every 16 millisecond, Google Chrome will produce for us new frame. As you can understand, it's not cheap operation. Also, there is one other instrument. It's performance monitor. So as you can see, this simple animation costs almost 3% of my M1 processor. I think it's too much. If we will switch off this animation and try to cast it again, so we will see that there is no any frames change. It's just one frame which we will see. Okay, let's see something more complicated. And I wanna present you one other instrument in rendering section. If you never seen it before, you should go to more tools, and there is gonna be the rendering section. And there is, you should check the paint flashing. So now we will see this green frame, which show that browser render this area on the page. Okay, so now I just change the font of element. Let's do something harder, like as we seen in my presentation, that there is some not cheap operation. It's changing the box shadow. Let's try to do it. Okay, I just will add some box shadow change for the color elements. Now it looks like that. So box shadow is kind of big, so browser had to re-render area which is more than was before. Okay, let's do some trash here. I will add, for example, it's box shadow for all elements if I will just, hover on any elements here. Sorry. Okay, now all elements were rendered. Also, it's not cheap for our CPU. Okay, maybe it's not clear. As we remember, the worst situation if we will change width and height or margin of padding. So let's try change size of elements, which is hovered. Okay. As we can see, it influences the neighbor blocks, but it's still okay. And what we can do more cheaper, it's use the transform instead padding. Also, we should remove the box shadow. Okay, anyway. Further, I wanna take a look at the little bit more complicated side with with a huge amount of different layers on every card, and I like how it works. As you can see, this green frame highlights us each layer on this page. So when we do some changes here, we see a render of the bigger amount of cards. So, and here we can try record something in performance tab. Oh. Okay, there is a lot of different things, and now I wanna focus on the main line of this thing. Okay, let's try to understand what exactly happening here. Also, for navigating, you can put the control button and just scroll your mouse wheel. So the yellow elements, it's some JavaScript, which we'll call it. Also, okay. Oh. Every task is making, just a new amount of work. So I just want to say that this step could be useful for you if you make some complicated code, which if you need understand the full chain of calls in your code and why sometimes render was called. It's the answer you can find here when exactly render happened, what were before that. So there is some help for you, so you can understand that there is the rendering, there is the scripting, and etc. And it was the last point. So I just wanna mention that no one loved the freezing interface. No one loved when battery of your device drain it by some application. So I think performance is really important. I hope you will sometimes see what happened in your application. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I believe it was really detailed and it was really cool for me, at least being a non-tech person, to see all of this, what is hidden. And yeah, so we are basically starting the question session. So the first one, who is going to be the first one? Come on, guys. Okay.
Hello. What is your favorite effect? Tell me something which is better than parallax, because it's the last thing I remember, which was really awesome. It looks great on the web pages. What is the modern version of it?
I like some OpenGL things, but it's rarely when we really works with that in our job. So if I would have more time for telling about all my lovely things in web. Yep. I don't know. Maybe some 3D transform or something like that.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else?
Does that chain of events, that re-rendering happens when you just slightly move the cursor or just hover over something? What do you need to do to trigger that re-rendering events and to load your browser?
As we seen it in example with squares, I think we did some movement of cursor there, but it weren't call any render because cursor on the display, it's a more lower level of operation system. It's browser don't care about it. Browser works is in sandbox. But if you interact with some elements on the page, it can recall the render, or if you will click the right button on the mouse.
Cool, thanks a lot. Anyone else? Tagir, please. It's okay, you may sit.
So I just want to ask, what is the alternative way for the performance? For example, if you want to use box shadowing or something, is there any better way to do that for the performance? For example, you have to do it. It's required. Is there any better way, like a cheaper way to do it? And also, second question is there anywhere on the internet some, I don't know, storage where we can find like those cheaper way to do some actions for the
Okay, thank you for your question. So there should be one more slide with the best options. Like we don't have the direct access to the render process. We cannot directly create new layer, which I mentioned before, but we can help browser to understand that there is the separate layer. It should be the separate layer. Yes, there is some CSS properties for that, like which directly says to engine this block will be rendered. I forgot other question.
Is there a place on the internet, like a website or I don't know, something where we can find properties that are cheaper than others? Which one are preferred above the others?
I highly recommend look some videos from the guys who created Blink. There is an engine inside the Google Chrome. So they have a nice video way of the pixel, I think. So they tell about everything. Also, there is a lot of materials from the Google Chrome creators. They have like a school where they tell us about the best render ways.
Okay, thank you.
Cool, thank you. Anyone else? Any eagers for the last question? 3, 2, 1. So I guess this is it. Tagir, thanks a lot. It was a great presentation.